I'm now going to hand over to Sarah Binns from Novas Scarman to talk about the work they're doing, linking up.
Hello everyone. I think I know quite a few people here, but just a little bit about myself and the work we do in Bristol and more widely. Novas Scarman is a social enterprise organisation with a long history of working on social justice issues. In Bristol, for many years we've delivered offender-specific services, but also, as Alex referred to earlier on, working very broadly across communities and groups and with individuals who are often within the criminal justice system or at risk of entering it. People who are homeless, people who've got complex histories, often involving mental health, alcohol and drug issues. We also work in the field of domestic abuse, so we're kind of aware of some of the community safety issues that Peter was referring to as well. And I've been working in Bristol for 20 odd years now, so what I wanted to do today was to share some of my insights and perspectives on what I think the real drivers are for increased collaboration and increased involvement of the third sector in criminal justice work. So I want to just share some of my thinking with you. Just to say, to begin with, a couple of the key drivers that I see, which mean that we really do need to do more together. We heard earlier on about the aspiration to reduce crime further in the city. There are huge pressures on the criminal justice system. Those of us working within it, or with people coming out of it, know about that. We've got over-representation of some groups and communities within the system. The costs of reoffending are absolutely massive, the cost of the public purse, but also the social and economic costs to individuals, to families, and to wider communities. And if there isn't a kind of headline driver like that, then I don't know what else I'd talk about really. I think the case is absolutely compelling for us to do more together to try and tackle crime and community safety. Looking at the bigger context that we're all working in, we know that at best there's no more money coming into services as we look ahead, and at worst we've got the prospect of huge public cuts facing us. We're all going to be affected by that. I think we need to protect the good work that's going on, and we need to try and do more of it, but we also all have to look at how we can do things differently, and that's a huge challenge for us. And we're going to be needing to do that as we go into the next year. If you look at Bristol's local area agreement, there are several key cross-sectoral targets and commitments which are all about reducing crime, which are all about improving community safety, which are all about tackling issues which are connected. It's no good if we work at these things in isolation. And that requires the skills and the expertise and the voluntary and community sector working with the statutory sectors to achieve those. We can't do it, none of us can do it on our own, and we have to make progress on those targets. Centrally, government needs a thriving third sector, and it has made those commitments to grow and nourish the sector so that we really do tackle the issues that we're talking about today. And a lot of the political parties, the main political parties, have started to talk about the kind of role they see the third sector having. So there's debate going on at a national level. We know there's drivers at a local level, and I think the case for increased collaboration is absolutely clear. So I wanted to go on and just say a few things about what the third sector actually brings to the table. And many of us know about this, but I just thought it was worth going over some of those key assets that the third sector bring, just for us to reflect on those. In Bristol, we've got a diverse, vibrant, well-established third sector. We've got groups and communities of a range of sizes, rooted in communities, often working together, and I think we've got a fantastic and diverse talent pool. I see a sector in my work, and we work as an organisation very closely with any number of groups and communities across the city. I see a sector which is flexible, innovative and creative. In the third sector, we're often closer to the communities we work with, and we can reach people and groups who sometimes face additional barriers and disadvantage. One example of a group that we work with quite closely is 125. I know there's somebody here from 125 today. Working very closely with women working in the sex industry, many of whom are caught up in the criminal justice system, often serving short-term sentences, with lots of complex issues, very, very vulnerable women. We bring specialist knowledge and skills to the table. For example, we have organisations in this city who work very closely and very effectively with individuals, groups and families from BME communities. With women, many of whom are at risk of re-entering the criminal justice system, and there's a real drive to tackle that through the Colston report and the government's response to it. With young people who again are at risk of entering the criminal justice system. And with people with complex mental health, drug and alcohol issues. Another organisation I wanted to just mention as an example is Signpost in the Right Direction, who many of you may know about, and I know that Grace is here today, so people could get a chance to catch up with her. And I know that Signpost in the Right Direction not only work with individuals and their families, but they actually bring communities, community leaders, statutory organisation representatives together in the kind of events they run, which are about community solutions working together. And that's tackling issues of crime, community safety, and that's of real value. I think one of the other things we bring in the third sector is that we are able to work across some of the traditional service boundaries. Many of the people that we're talking about who are caught up in the criminal justice system or at risk of entering it have those complex, interconnected issues and needs and histories. It's not just one issue, as we know. And we're able to work with housing issues, with health, alcohol and drug-related issues, often people with histories of abuse, having witnessed or experienced abuse themselves, people who've got huge potential and talents as well as needs, and we can support them, hopefully, on a route into volunteering, training or employment back into the world of work. So that holistic approach that we're able to offer. We're also working with people on a preventative and early intervention basis, in families, in communities, in neighbourhoods, tackling some of the issues that can lead otherwise into the criminal justice system, into criminal activity. I think one of the other things we can bring to the table is we can sometimes see where things are going wrong. We bring a particular perspective. So it may be that we can see where a system isn't working, where people are dropping out of a service, where there's a gap in the service. You know, we can bring case studies that we can say, look what's gone wrong here on this individual's journey. And that's really important because we all know sometimes we can work in silos, or we can be doing things and carrying on doing something over there, and it's got unintended consequences over there. So I think that kind of learning and those perspectives that we can bring are really valuable as well, particularly when we've got to look at doing things differently and doing things better with limited resources. We also involve the people we work with, and we have a huge tradition of doing this very skillfully in the third sector. It may be through volunteering, it may be by providing a platform for the voices and experiences of people whose voices aren't often heard. We can enable people to contribute, and that's absolutely critical, and that can make sure that strategies and services and commissioning plans are actually informed by the needs and the issues of the people they're intended for. Absolutely critically, we deliver outcomes. And in my own organisation, in our offender-specific services, only 10% of those people we're supporting are actually going on to be reconvicted, which is pretty amazing. And I know other organisations are achieving similar kinds of outcomes. And if you look at the national average of reconviction rates, which is around 6 or 7%, the third sector's got a lot to actually bring. We can also add value. We're really good at fundraising. We've had to be for many years. You know, we're really creative at bringing in extra resources. So another good reason for us to be at the table and to be able to offer more. At the same time, I just wanted to add this, it's really important to have that thriving third sector and build on the good stuff in Bristol, that we do actually get our full costs recovered. So we're not a cheap option. We might be able to deliver sometimes for less, but the critical thing is that we are there, we are resourced, we actually do deliver the outcomes. Overall, I think we can demonstrate a really high value social return on investment, and those kind of measures become more and more important. I think the third sector can demonstrate that we can continue to bring those.